to ESPN's coverage of the Kirk Street Varsity Football Series presented by Burger King. From the legendary Horseshoe on the campus of Ohio State, it's the season opener for the 2008 national champs of St. Thomas Aquinas out of Florida. And they're taking on one of the best programs here in Central Ohio, the Upper Arlington Golden Bears. Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Columbus, Ohio. I'm Clay Matvick. This is the 5th year of the Kirk Street Varsity Football Showcase here on ESPN. Each year it gets bigger and better. We're going to see a couple of great programs here today. It's been a window into the future in the past, seeing some of the future college and pro stars, and no team has more star power in the country than St. Thomas Aquinas. I bring in one of my partners today, John Berger, a former Buckeye, and Upper Arlington's going to have its hands full.
Well, they are. St. Thomas Aquinas, back-to-back state champions in the state of Florida. You look at their record over the last 4 years, 54 wins, only 4 losses. You look at that time horizon, they put 41 kids on scholarship into Division I. A lot of speed, a lot of horsepower on that football team. And for Upper Arlington, I spent some time talking to head coach Mike Golden yesterday. They recognize the challenges that have been put in front of them. They're prepared to respond and come out here and battle this football team for 4 quarters.
We're going to see a lot of members of the ESPN U150 into today's game. And I bring in one of the architects of that 150, Craig Hobbard from ESPN Scouts Inc. And for those who don't know, Craig, what is the ESPN U150?
Well, Clay, there are thousands of high school prospects every year who want to go on and play college football. What the ESPN U150 signifies is the top 150 players in the country. Myself and the rest of the Scouts Inc. staff go through film evaluation, in-person evaluations, and we put together that, and then we go ahead and continue throughout the year. That list will change some, but we're going to see some of those 150 guys today.
All right, let's take a look at some of the impact players for today's game presented by the United States Marine Corps.
Well, let's start with Upper Arlington. First off is their quarterback number 7, Kyle Cassidy. Now, he's got great bloodlines as the grandson of Hopalong Cassidy, Ohio State Heisman winner. He's a good athlete, a nice fit for what they want to do on offense with their wing T style. Now, in the trenches is J.J. Blevins, number 65. He's a blue-collar guy. He wants to line up. He wants to push people off the ball. You'll see him also play some defense. He is a key vocal leader for that team. Now, moving over to St. Thomas Aquinas, they have a lot of talent, and 2 of those are in the ESPN U150. One of them is number 2, Cody Riggs. He's a small corner, but very athletic, very fast. And number 3, the number 1 rated corner in the country, LaMarcus Joyner. He's got long limbs, great athleticism. We will also see him on offense in this game, so keep an eye on both those guys.
All right, John, let's take a look at some of the keys to today's game.
Well, for St. Thomas Aquinas, you've got a clear speed advantage. You want to attack the perimeter of that Upper Arlington defense, try to get some big plays early, and just be assignment sound on the defensive side of the ball. You're going up against an option attack. For Upper Arlington, they want to go on long sustained drives, and they need to win the intangibles: field position, turnovers, and special teams to be successful today.
St. Thomas Aquinas is in white. Upper Arlington in black. The Golden Bears of Upper Arlington are the home team. St. Thomas Aquinas has won the toss. They will receive. Drew Dakin has it teed up, and the high school season is underway here in Columbus. And right away, 2 of the ESPN U150 guys back deep, and fumbling it is LaMarcus Joyner.
You didn't really expect to see that. You know, with a player like Joyner, you expect him to field the ball. And this is something that Upper Arlington needs, some miscues by St. Thomas.
As St. Thomas Aquinas able to recover at the 16.
Aquinas dodged a bullet right there. I just talked about it with the special teams, and Upper Arlington had an opportunity to jump on that ball, but St. Thomas Aquinas secures the football. They're going to start their first drive here on the 15-yard line.
First down and 10, first play offensively for St. Thomas Aquinas. And on the end around, it's LaMarcus Joyner trying to turn the corner. Gets it out across the 25-yard line. It's a pickup of 11 and a first down for the Raiders. Let's take a look at Jacob Rudolph, a 6'3", 180-pound junior. This is his first year as a starter for the Raiders. He played in 11 games last year, but mostly in mop-up situations. And guys, it's been a little bit of a quarterback battle in Fort Lauderdale for the starting job.
Yeah, it really has, and we're going to probably see 2 quarterbacks, and Rudolph, we're also going to see a little bit of Turner Beatty, and they're going to let them battle throughout this game and see who comes out on top of that starting position.
Split backfield, and Rudolph makes the handoff to Giovanni Bernard, a 4-star running back, according to Scouts Inc. It's a short pickup But there is a flag down on the play as Garrett Hobson makes the stop.
I think they're going to get a push in the back on Aquinas. I think it's going to back them up there. Again, they're attacking the perimeter of Upper Darlington, exactly what we suspected.
Yeah, St. Thomas is really confident about their speed, and they wanted to come out and show it early.
Our referee is Tom Stoughton.
Illegal block in the back on the offense. 10-yard penalty. Replay second down.
They'll spot it back at the 18-yard line. It'll bring up second down and 11 as we take a look at George Smith, now in his 33rd year as head coach at St. Thomas Aquinas. And guys, there aren't many legendary head coaches in the country at the high school level, but he's one of them.
No, he's definitely one of them. 5 state champions, 24-game win streaks, comes into the season ranked #1 in all of high school football.
Rudock out of the gun, wants to throw, drops it off short to James White, the fullback. He's got it, he's got some space. Out to the 35, and finally, horse collar down at the 40 after a gain of 22. Philip Jascott, the strong safety, finally brought him down.
Yeah, he's been there for over 30 years, talking about head coach George Smith, and he has had some great players come through that program. He has sent a ton of players onto Division I programs, so he understands what it takes to cultivate these players. That's why they have so many guys being recruited by Division I schools, because of the history and the bar that he has set there.
They continue to reload down in Fort Lauderdale. Rudock on the pitch, gets it to Bernard. Giovanni Bernard steps out of a tackle at midfield, and he's into Upper Arlington territory at the 41 after a gain of 18 yards. Daniel Bodamayuno, the middle linebacker, made the stop finally after the big game.
It's good blocking downfield. They just go with the little option route. It was a good pitch relationship. They get the football out to Bernard. He picks up a great block downfield by his wide receiver, Rashad Green. And you can see Bernard just take it straight up. You can see the speed and athleticism and why they're so high on him at the next level.
It's Bernard again. And he'll pick up 4 on that play. Hobson in on the tackle. Giovanni Bernard hasn't been healthy for most of the preseason, guys, but it appears that he's brought his A game here today.
Yeah, it appears so. Last year, 1,400 yards, an explosive downfield runner. And what I like most about him is his ability to get north and south quickly and then showing that acceleration, Craig.
Yeah, he's also built low to the ground. You saw him break that tackle 2 plays ago. He's very tough to bring down because he's compact and he runs, he brings those knees up. Excellent player. And they got to feel good to have him back on the field.
Rudock on the pitch again. Again, more space for James White. He's inside the 20 and down at the 12-yard line as St. Thomas Aquinas on the opening drive of the football game is moving it and moving it effectively. They pick up 27 on that run.
It's the same exact play. They just go to the right side with James White. And just an observation, Clay, the linebackers from Upper Arlington have got to fill quickly on that play. Because right now there's just nobody coming down that alley. They got to fill quickly and get the ball carrier on the ground.
The consensus national champs from last year. They went 15-0 a season ago. This is the season opener for the Raiders. Hand off to Jamal Wilson, the backup tailback to Bernard, and he's hit at the line of scrimmage by Hobson. He's going to still be able to muster a yard. They'll bring up second down.
You talked about it, Sean. Yes, and you shall receive. They actually stepped up on that play, did a nice job filling, and were able to stop.
Second down and 9 coming up. The ESPNU 150 is scrolling across the top of your screen, and also the top 5 players at each position across the top of your screen, so keep an eye on that. Pitching back again is Rudolph to Bernard, trying to sweep to the left side, cutting the corner to the pylon, and they're going to mark him out at the 1-yard line. Philip Jascott, the strong safety, able to knock him out. It's a pickup of 10, first down and goal for the Raiders.
It's the same exact play. They just go to the option attack. That's where they're going to attack this defense. And look at the blocking downfield. That's the second block on that drive by Rashad Green. Picks up the block downfield. He stays with the block and just drives his guy. As a running back, guys, that's what you love, because when you find all that turf and you've only got to beat one guy, excellent blocking downfield by Rashad Green.
And we're going to get a whistle as this play is blown dead. This is going to go against Upper Arlington. There is the Golden Bears head coach, Mike Golden, coincidentally enough. He's also the defensive coordinator.
Substitution infraction on the defense. Half the distance, still first down.
And Golden has led the Golden Bears to the playoffs all 4 years that he has been the bench boss. And they've got their hands full today against the national champs. 8th play of the drive. Pitching it back is Rudolph, and an easy touchdown for James White as he lopes in, and the Raiders draw first blood.
I mean, they came out with that wishbone look, and all the way down the field, they attacked on the perimeter, letting their speed, getting outside the hashes between the numbers, and really, gave it to Upper Arlington. What better way to score than to go around the edge, show that speed, bring it in for a touchdown.
Michael Pilardi is on for the extra point, and the kick is up and good. And it's 7-0 St. Thomas Aquinas. James White, who's got Division I written all over him, takes it in from 1 yard out. 15-0 last year, maybe 1-0 this year after opening up here in Columbus today. The Kirk Herbstreit Varsity Football Series is presented by Burger King, who reminds you to have it your way. And in part by the United States Marine Corps, the few, the proud, the Marines. And LifeLock, #1 in identity theft protection. 7-0 St. Thomas Aquinas, the #1 team in the country by almost every major high school poll. 7 runs, 1 pass on that 84-yard opening drive. 8 plays, 84 yards in just under 3 minutes. And it almost got off to a rough start as LaMarcus Joyner muffed the opening kickoff, but it all turned out okay for the Raiders.
Yep, they dodged the bullet, and then on that first drive, they had that one key penalty, and then they recovered. They settled down, and St. Thomas Aquinas marches methodically down the field on the option play, and you can see their speed and athleticism.
Michael Pilardi to kick off for St. Thomas Aquinas. And this is going to go into the end zone. Mac Wilson is there to make the play, but in high school football, if it goes past the goal line, it's an automatic touchback. And that means Kyle Cassidy comes out for the first time, quarterback for the Golden Bears. And we've talked about it before, fellas. He's got some great bloodlines. The grandson of Howard Hopalong Cassidy, the star running back at Ohio State who won the Heisman in '55. His dad, Craig, played here at Ohio State. And he's under center for the first play for the Golden Bears. He'll turn and hand off to Drew Karam, the fullback. And it'll be a pickup of 1 as the lineups scroll across the top of your screen. Garth Jobe in on the tackle for St. Thomas Aquinas. And we talked about it before, gentlemen. Upper Arlington knows what it has to do today, and that means sustained drives to keep the St. Thomas Aquinas offense off the field. We've already seen the reason why.
Yeah, you bet. Well, they recognize the explosive nature of Aquinas, and they want to go in those long 8, 10, 12 play drives and try to chew up as much clock as they can.
Out of the gun, Cassidy looks to the right, throws, and it's picked off. Intercepted in the secondary by Cody Riggs. Number 76 on the ESPNU 150, but the number 8 cornerback.
Cody Riggs just jumps that route play. He had 8 interceptions last year. He saw this from the get-go, and Cody Riggs recognizes where the quarterback's going with the ball, just jumps that route, comes up with a big turnover here, and then gives the football back to his offense with great field position. Garth
Jobe really laid a hit on Cassidy. He felt the pressure and led to the interception. Now the Raiders have it back. Here's Giovanni Bernard. Look at that elusiveness as he spins, works his way to the far sideline and gets out of bounds after a gain of 3. Let's go back to that interception.
Yeah, St. Thomas Aquinas, they bring pressure. Kyle Cassidy just telegraphs where he's going with the football, and Cody Riggs comes up from the corner slot, recognizes that play early and comes up with a big turnover, following up last year where he had 8 picks and 21 tackles. Very athletic kid's going to have a very successful future at the next level.
Yeah, that's really one of his strengths is his break on the ball, and you saw it right there, how quick he is out of the break, and he was able to capitalize and make a play. I mean, this is one of the top recruits in all the nation.
He is at 5 official visits scheduled. As that is thrown inside the 5-yard line, it is complete as Rashad Green makes the catch at the 3-yard line, a pickup of 14. And again, the Raiders banging on the door, first down and goal.
Going back to Riggs, some of the schools that he's looking at, we were just talking about it. Notre Dame, he's already set up an official for there. Naturally, the Florida schools, Florida, Florida State, Tennessee, and Georgia are also in his top 5. And after a play like that, you see why those schools are after a player like that.
And we're going to get a timeout called here by Mike Golden and Upper Arlington as St. Thomas Aquinas already has a touchdown. They're 3 yards away from one more. $7-0 St. Thomas Aquinas on top of Upper Arlington. And the Raiders on the doorstep again. High school football action continues on ESPNU and ESPN today. At 3:30 on ESPNU, it's more from the Kirk Herbstreit Varsity Football Series presented by Burger King as the Westerville South Wildcats take on the Hilliard-Davidson Wildcats. Then at 7 on ESPN, see the Old Spice High School Showcase presented by Gatorade as the DeSoto Eagles face the Cedar Hill Longhorns. A couple of Texas teams going head-to-head. Here come the Raiders after the timeout called by Upper Arlington. And it's first down and goal to go. 8:02 to go here in the first. Rudock, a little play fake, now turns and hands off to Bernard, and he walks right in for a 3-yard touchdown run. Bernard scoring, the 5'10", 195-pound senior. And this has been an impressive offensive show right out of the gate.
Yeah, it was just a little counter play. And look at the block up front by number 68, Brad Mills, and he just blows open the linebacker there, and Bernard just walks in for the touchdown. We haven't seen that play yet. You see the diversification of that offense.
Pilardi comes on. The extra point is good. Bernard has several scholarship offers, but he is undeclared. Among the schools that have shown interest right here, Ohio State.
Yeah, Frederick Sutton right there just gets the good block downfield, and he just tiptoes right into the end zone. Right now, I talked about it earlier in your open, Clay. Right now, St. Thomas Aquinas is just having their way up front at the point of attack, and Upper Arlington look for them to have to start bringing some pressure there to try to put some stress on their offense.
So St. Thomas Aquinas taking advantage of the turnover after the interception. 3 plays, 20 yards, 27 seconds to get the Bernard touchdown. And we have seen Bernard's speed, 4.5 40 time is what he has been clocking.
He also put into the backfield James White. That's a lethal 1-2 punch. James White ran for over for a big year last year. So those two combined really give them a formidable backfield.
So now Zach Powers and Mac Wilson are back deep to return this kick from Michael Pilardi, who is verbally committed to Tennessee. Kick is end over end, and it's going to be a touchdown as Powers makes the catch inside the end zone. Let's talk more about St. Thomas Aquinas of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The Raiders, no doubt, one of the more respected high school programs in the country, and you have to look to George Smith for all of that. He came there in the 70s, and some of the alumni out of that school pretty impressive. Michael Irvin, Chris Everett, the tennis star, Brian Piccolo from Brian's Song fame, also an alum of St. Thomas Aquinas. Fumbling the snap is Cassidy, and he is dropped down at the 15-yard line as the exchange from John Blevins to Cassidy is dropped, and it's a loss of 4.
They're going to have to find a rhythm right now. Right now, they're a little bit kind of under the gun. St. Thomas Aquinas has really kind of dominated the line of scrimmage like you spoke about, John. So they really just need to kind of calm down and get their run game going. One thing Coach Golden really felt good about coming to this game was the size and strength he had up front. He needs to get those big boys creating some push and let them get a little bit of confidence going on offense.
The Defense for St. Thomas Aquinas is rolling across the top of the screen. On second down, it's going to be a short 2-yard gain for the Golden Bears. You see Brian Piccolo, he went on to play for the Chicago Bears. Chris Everett won 18 majors in women's tennis. And Michael Irvin, now a member of the NFL Hall of Fame. But, you know, even though all of those famous people have come out of St. Thomas Aquinas, when you think about that school, you think about George Smith first.
Yep, you do. It's remarkable what he's been able to do and sustain that over so many years. The program that he has built there in South Florida, it's remarkable what he's been able to accomplish there.
Cassidy out of the gun, goes deep downfield, nobody home at the 50-yard line, as it was well covered. And, you know, that's the thing. You're going to see that a lot today. The secondary is so good for St. Thomas Aquinas. A lot of time, there's just nobody open.
There's nowhere to go, and that puts stress on you as an offensive football team, because Upper Arlington, they're going to hang their hat on option football. They want to stay in 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2. But when you're getting dominated up front, you have to throw the football. But their secondary is so strong. Right now, they just got to find some sort of answer to generate some positive yards to get a little bit of confidence back.
Rashad Green is back to return this punt. He's standing at his own 41-yard line. Low snap. Kick is off from Jascott. Here is Green now. He'll start it back. He gets across midfield. Nice move at the 45. Still on his feet inside the 40 and down at the 39-yard line. Garrett Hobson in on the special teams play. 6:18 to go here in the first quarter. Giovanni Bernard. He has one of the 2 touchdowns today for the defending national champs. It's been all Aquinas so far. They lead it 14-0 here in Columbus. $14-0. The Raiders of St. Thomas Aquinas leading Upper Arlington of Ohio 14-0. And we talked about it at the top, guys. The keys were to keep St. Thomas Aquinas off the field as long as Upper Arlington is concerned, and that hasn't happened. Deep ball, Rudock, and had a receiver at the 5-yard line, in and out of the hands of Rashad Green, and it'll be second down.
He made a nice throw there. Receiver Green let the ball get into his body. It bounced off his shoulder pad. But you see right here how he's able to concentrate, just not able to bring it in. But another chance at a big play. And obviously they're showing that they can really test Upper Arlington, whether they're going to run on the perimeter or they're going to throw the ball vertically.
The receiving coach for St. Thomas Aquinas is Chris Carter. And he spends a lot of time with the guys, more than you'd think. 2 and 3 days a week. Chris Carter, Hall of Famer, is working with these young men. Rudock out of the gun to Bernard. Bounces off a tackle inside the 35, and he's got some room on the far sideline. Touchdown. Giovanni Bernard, a 39-yard touchdown run, making it look very easy. His second score of the day.
Yep, and we talked about it early in the ballgame play. The up-front attack by the offensive line of St. Thomas Aquinas is just having their way right now with the defensive line for Upper Arlington.
You know, and one thing that Bernard's able to do, he does very well, you can see it on film, is he's very good at making a decision. And then once he goes, that play wasn't designed to go outside, but he bounced it and was able to get big yards. Great vision.
6 carries, 77 yards already for Giovanni Bernard. 3 drives, 3 touchdowns for Aquinas.
It's exactly what you want for Aquinas, coming right out of the gate. Watch the blocking up front by Austin Barron and Andrew Reyes, and then Bernard, you can see his speed and athleticism. Right now, Upper Arlington is just struggling filling that from the linebacker position, and Bernard's just having his way using that speed and athleticism.
Said before that Bernard is undeclared, but he's going to be in South Bend October 17th when USC visits the Fighting Irish. Notre Dame, Craig, is his only scheduled visit.
Yeah, it's still early in the process, so, you know, he's still looking at other schools. Tennessee, Oregon State. His older brother was a running back at Oregon State, so that's how they got into the mix. Tennessee, possibly the Florida schools. Yeah, so Notre Dame, they've got that visit in the book. They got to feel good about that, but still a lot of time. We'll have to see what he does with those other 4.
Now, he's a 4-star running back, according to you guys at Scouts Inc. What exactly does the star system entail?
Well, basically what it is, the star system works in conjunction with a grading scale. which goes all the way up to 100. Five-star prospects are going to be in that 85 to 100 range. Those are guys that we feel can come into college and make an impact. Not play, but make an impact. You go down to that 4-star range, those are guys who can come in and possibly contribute as true freshmen, and that's what you're looking at with Giovanni Bernard. He's a lower-end 4-star, definitely has all the tools to go in and make a contribution as a true freshman.
To put it into perspective, 5-star guys, there are only 12 this year in the ESPN U150.
Oh, you think about it, not many players come in as true freshmen and make an impact.
So here come the Golden Bears again. First down and 10 from the 20. Kyle Cassidy from under center turns hands off. First back through is Karam. And little or no gain. Let's go to the studio for an update.
All right, guys, checking out the ESPN family of networks. The Little League World Series semifinal. Chinese Taipei taking on Mexico over on ESPN2. The winner heads to the final. Now, as soon as the Senator Kenney funeral coverage is over on ABC, this Little League game will head over to the network. But right now, it is on ESPN2. Scoreless game. Back to Columbus, guys.
No, we're not. We're hearing a phone message.
Second down now for Upper Arlington. Again, Cassidy handing off. And it's Karam again, a fullback and a halfback. And in this offense, guys, almost identical. It's a variation of the wing T for Mike Golden in Upper Arlington.
Yeah, all they're trying to do is put the defense back on their heels a little bit and make them be assignment sound when they attack you. They're just, for Upper Arlington, they're just trying to create anything positive right now to get a first down and try to start moving the chains and chewing up some clock.
Upper Arlington won a state title back in 2000. This is a very good program. They went 10-2 in 2008. They lost to Pickerington Central in the state semis. We'll see them later in this Kirk Herbstreit varsity series. Cassidy hit hard at the 26-yard line by Brian Robinson, one of the good safeties for St. Thomas Aquinas, somebody we haven't talked about yet. He is a 3-star guy, Craig.
Yes, yeah, I mean, once again, very good player, not up there in the elite as far as skills, but obviously a guy that plenty of schools are looking at. Alabama, Florida, Georgia, a lot of interest from SEC programs.
And Upper Arlington again unable to sustain a drive. They're going to have to punt again. Rashad Green back, standing at his 37-yard line. As Philip Jascott gets off a very good kick. Going back here is Green. He's got it at the 31. Comes to the near sideline. Still on his feet. Nice move down at the 50, but penalty flags come in. Zach Boonsdorf is in on the tackle for Upper Arlington. It's going to be a block in the back on St. Thomas Aquinas. Let's look at what Giovanni Bernard has done today. A couple of touchdowns.
Bernard gets loose on the same play. We saw it twice. This is just a counter play that goes into the touchdown. Got a good block up front by offensive line, and it's remarkable to see that his speed and his vision. Craig, as a running back coming out of the backfield like that in high school, it's just remarkable that he's that patient, because a lot of times you see running backs that are that young and that fast not be as patient. He does a good job of setting up his blocks downfield, especially his wide receivers.
Here's Rudock. And the Aquinas offense again going to work. It's LaMarcus Joyner making the catch. He's down at the 41-yard line, a pickup of 4. Guys, he is a very well-respected corner. That's probably his future, but also he contributes offensively, too.
Yeah, you know, he has all the tools really to play. He can play offense at the next level, but he's an aggressive football player. If you look at him, he's only about 5'9", but when you see him in person, he's a long-limbed kid. He's got long arms, long legs. He almost looks taller because his limbs are so long. He can project as a safety. He could be a cover corner, but he could also make plays with the ball in his hands on offense.
James White into Upper Arlington territory, a gain of 16. ESPN Rise speaks to the high school athlete through aspiration, improvement, and recognition. Log on to ESPNRise.com for more information. Here's the profile of LaMarcus Joyner.
Yeah, now he transferred in from Miami Southwest last year. You see he's a smart kid, not just taking care of business on the field, but also taking care of business off the field. And he told me in a conversation earlier in the week that, hey, good defensive players make good offensive players, and that's really helping him on this side of the ball.
Rudock, play action, throws to the near sideline, has a man. It is caught by Philip Dorsett. And it's another big gain for the Raiders as they are cutting through this Upper Arlington defense like butter. A 25-yard pickup, and the Raiders in the red zone one more time. LaMarcus Joyner. George Smith wants to get him involved in the offense. We've seen that a little bit. I mean, how much are we going to see of that the rest of the way?
Well, you know, depending on how this game develops, I'm sure they'd like to get him his touches. They're so deep in their secondary. We talked about guys like Cody Riggs, Brian Robinson, Quan Payne. So they've got the players back there. They don't necessarily need Joyner on defense. So they want to get him involved on offense because he could be a big-time playmaker.
White and Bernard in the backfield. They give it to Bernard. He goes around left tackle and knocks down a defender at the 6-yard line. Mark McClain was able to hang with him and bring him down. It's a 13-yard gain, and again, first down and goal for the Raiders.
Yeah, and look at the way he finishes this run. I want to keep your eye on number 7, James White, his buddy in the backfield as well. He comes up, just delivers a shot on the defensive back. You're going to see Bernard cut up. Watch as he finishes this run, leaning forward, and James White, you're going to see coming in the picture right here. Watch the block coming out by James White, and Bernard just gets his shoulder down and finishes that run.
Now Rudock steps under center, and he's going to keep it himself and dives in for the touchdown. Jacob Rudock, the quarterback, from 5 yards out. And St. Thomas Aquinas just at will, offensively having its way.
Yeah, anytime you're getting dominated up front right now, St. Thomas Aquinas is just having so much success moving the defensive line for Upper Arlington around, which has opened up giant holes for Bernard and White to scoot through. And I look for them to, as the game goes on, to maybe start working on their passing game a little bit and try to get that honed as they go into their division play.
Michael Pilardi. The extra point is good. And it is 28-0. St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah, you're going to see the same type of option play, and this time quarterback keeper Rudick just stuck it right up into the end zone there, and he's just following that big offensive line and behind Martin and Mills up front.
He held on to that point. Figured, why should Bernard have all the fun? Let me get a touchdown for myself. I'm going to hold on to this one.
Spread the wealth a little bit. It really is an embarrassment of riches when you talk about this St. Thomas Aquinas team. They've got so many good players, so many weapons. We've talked about a number of guys already, and we're not even through the first quarter.
Yeah, it's unbelievable at the high school level, because usually at this level, even at the highest level, whatever state you're in, Ohio, Texas, Florida, it doesn't matter. Having 2 or 3 guys go Division I is a big deal every year. You get 10, 12 guys off any team going Division I. It's remarkable at the talent level.
Well, Aquinas had 11 guys sign FBS or FCS scholarship offers last year. And another touchback. It'll be first down and 10 from the 20 for Upper Arlington. And it certainly helps when you have Chris Carter on the sidelines, guys like that. John Kangemi,
yep.
A guy that was a great quarterback. He also comes back to help once in a while. There's Deron Carter, Chris's son, who is now at Ohio State. He played at Aquinas, and he was on your ESPN U150 recently, Craig.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, he's here right now as a true freshman, competing for playing time as that 4th, possibly 5th wide receiver.
Just nowhere to go. As Drew Karam has brought down Heart of Lawson, too. Here's a look at Deron Carter. That was from the Herb Street Classic last year. And what impressed you about him?
Well, his size. You know, one thing he has, deceptive speed. He's not a burner, but you see he's got those long strides. But not shockingly, being the son of Chris Carter, he's got great hands, excellent concentration.
Delay of game on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Going back to Carter, he's got great concentration. He's got excellent body control. He can go up and high point the ball, get it at its highest point, and he can create plays. And I think that's why he's going to be able to come in here as Ohio State as a true freshman and be able to help out the Buckeyes because he's got those short hands. He's a good route runner. He's got that lineage. So he may not burn down the field, but he knows how to catch the ball, make plays, keep the chains moving.
The other thing is at the next level, guys, with the spread offenses that you're seeing proliferate throughout college football, the bigger-bodied wide receivers are also coming back into vogue because a lot of times now defenses have responded. Now it's no longer a 4-3. You're putting 5, 6, 7 guys that can run, almost hybrids and safety. So the bigger-bodied wide receivers, you look at a Des Bryant, kind of similar build, right? So you look at a guy like Des Bryant, the success he's having at Oklahoma State, and that's how I kind of see Deron Carter and those bigger-bodied wide receivers.
Sure. He is
Julio
not
Jones into that mix.
He is not just a token coach. I mean, he is active down there. He is very animated. He's getting involved with these guys. And I'm sure they're soaking it up like a sponge.
Yeah, you bet. At the high school level, when you have an NFL player come back, which, by the way, has gone through Division I, gone into the pros, you get a whole different perspective from everything that he's seen. And look at him coaching up not only the players, but the coaches. He's done a remarkable job, and he is committed to that program.
Yeah, he certainly brings an energy with him and a wealth of experience that the kids, can bring. He had a chance last year, to speak at the Under Armour All-American game where his son Deron was a member of it. He, even out there, he would jump on the field. He would grab those kids in the drills, wanting to show some of the top prospects in the nation what he can offer.
After the timeout, Cassidy out of the gun, pressured. He's being chased. He's going to take it himself and steps out of bounds. Back near the original line of scrimmage, penalty flag comes in. John Childress ushered him out after that 7-yard run, and this may be a late hit.
Yeah, Childress came up and hit Cassidy about 5 yards out of bounds.
That's what it's going to be.
Dead ball foul, personal foul on the defense, late hit out of bounds, play results in a first down.
Cassidy's just trying to buy some time and get to the sticks, and John Childress, he just has got to come up short there and not get that penalty because it's just silly with your team up like that.
First down of the day for Upper Arlington. Cassidy back to the ground, and like before, just not much there. Daniel Botamuño, the fullback, takes it ahead for maybe a half a yard on that play. Botamuño, one of the star players for the Golden Bears, pretty quick guy. Some MAC schools are interested in him, but you're going to have a lot more quickness than what we've seen from Upper Arlington to get past this defense.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they hit the line of scrimmage, they're being met. And, we talked about how big that Upper Arlington line is. But right now, the St. Thomas Aquinas front, which is a little smaller, is being more physical.
Cassidy's going to keep it here. Nice play, and he is going to be close to a first down. Finally brought down in the secondary by Ronaldo Curtin, a 2-star defensive back. It's an 8-yard pickup. And that's one of the better offensive plays we've seen today from Upper Arlington.
Yeah, and that was a design draw by the quarterback, and he read it nicely there. And that's what Upper Arlington needs right now, is just a little dose of confidence. This is just the base zone read play, and Cassidy makes the right read and is able to rip it up. Now it's setting up a 3rd and short, and the team appears to have a little bit of confidence here.
Could be the last play of the quarter. Handoff, and it's a first down for Upper Arlington, as Drew Karam takes it ahead for a 6-yard gain. So the Golden Bears, even though they were dominated guys in that quarter, ending on a positive note.
Yeah, it goes back to that penalty, gave them a first down, maybe a little bit of confidence. Now they picked up a first down on their own, so they need to start to build on this momentum here.
And that will be the last play of the quarter. And a dominating one for St. Thomas Aquinas. Over 200 yards of total offense already for the defending national champs. They're opening the season here in Ohio for the 2nd straight year, looking for similar results. 28-0 Raiders over Upper Arlington. We're back at the Horseshoe here in Columbus after this timeout. It's easy to see why this program hasn't lost a football game since October of 2007. They've won 24 straight football games. St. Thomas Aquinas leads at 28-0 as we head to the second quarter. Upper Arlington really dominated in every aspect in that first quarter. 214 yards of total offense for the Raiders. But the Golden Bears have something going as we start quarter number 2. First down and 10 at midfield. Cassidy out of the gun, hands it off. And his running back is drilled. Garth Jobe dives back into the backfield and hits Drew Karam, but a penalty flag is down.
Ball foul, encroachment on the defense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Yeah, right now St. Thomas Aquinas, their defense just recognizes that they're going to continue to run that same option play, and Jobe just jumps that route, just gets there a little bit early. It's going to be important for Upper Arlington to try to find a little bit of balance just so you can get Aquinas to respect some sort of passing game so they don't have their ears pinned back coming out. You're knocking your offensive lineman right off the ball.
All 5 starters up front have varsity experience for Upper Arlington. They're trying to get behind those guys and get some traction now offensively. Again, it's Karam straight ahead. He picks up 1. There you see Mike Golden. And he was telling us this week, guys, that, you know, he's got such a solid program that he inherited that a monkey could coach here and have success. I think that's a little bit too modest. But certainly the varsity, JV, and freshman teams have all been successful in recent years. In fact, last year, the 3 programs combined to win 27-3. And he's right, he does have a lot to work with.
Yeah, he does, and it's a community with high expectations. A lot of good athletes, good lacrosse sports, and you know, when you consider that the high school has 32 club and varsity sports, and they lead the state of Ohio in terms of state championships across all those sports, it's a very active community, very athletic group, and he's done a nice job as a head coach.
8 starters are back, 4 on offense, 4 on defense. The school is located just 7 minutes from Ohio State, but no doubt this is a big trip for them. Coming to the Horseshoe, a lot of these kids have dreamed about playing here all their lives.
The short play, they sat in these stands, they practice in the shadows of this stadium, but to be able to come and actually play on this field is a dream come true for a lot of these kids.
Cassidy escapes and again hit late. I don't see any flags, though. Garth Jobe nailing Cassidy, and it looked like it was late after the 8-yard pickup, but no penalty flags. And Cassidy single-handedly keeping this drive alive.
Yeah, Cassidy is just trying to buy some time and just create a play there, and Jobe looks like he belts him out of bounds. There's no flag, but, you know, back to your point earlier, Clay, I think that, you know, for a high school kid, getting the opportunities, even if you're, you know, living down the street and your school's right down the street, getting the opportunity to come in here in the Horseshoe is a giant deal. And we saw him yesterday taking pictures, and what a great event, and they've had a terrific time throughout this process.
You see Cassidy, he was supposed to be the starter last year, but broke his arm in the team's first scrimmage. Getting the start here in the season opener in 2009. Karam again picks up 6. Ronaldo Curtin, very talented safety for St. Thomas Aquinas, makes the tackle. We've seen him quite a bit already today. Another quick man in the secondary for the Raiders.
It's unbelievable if you look at their talent in the secondary with a Cody Riggs, a Ronaldo Curtin, Brian Robinson, Keon Payne. They've got 5 potential defensive backs going Division I. And Curtin's one of those smart kids. He's got a 4.9 GPA, getting recruited by all the Ivy League schools and Stanford as well.
10th play of the drive. Second down and 4 for Upper Arlington. Botamuño takes the handoff and is hit immediately. And ball comes loose, and it is recovered by St. Thomas Aquinas. Kenneth Hankerson, the defensive end, has recovered, number 33.
That's a killer right there for Upper Arlington, because they finally had a little bit of momentum going, you know, coming into this quarter from the last. They were starting to get a bit of a drive go. They're down here on St. Thomas Aquinas' end of the field, and then to turn the ball over and kind of lose what they started is really heartbreaking for them.
You see Mike Golden. He's not happy. He knew that his team was going to have to play an absolutely perfect game today to knock off the national champs. And so far, things have not gone well. New quarterback, Turner Beatty, is in now for the Raiders. And he hands off James White on the carry. It's going to be a pickup of about 5 yards. Here's Turner Beatty, a transfer from Northern California. He threw for 1,800 yards last year in Northern California, and he's got an offer from Stanford. Strong interest has come in from Tennessee. How would you like to have a backup quarterback like that on your team?
It's remarkable. I was watching him in pregame play throw the football just in warm-ups, and watching Beatty throw and watching Rudock throw the football, it's amazing that level of talent at the quarterback position with two of those guys on the same team. It's just remarkable. You don't see that very often.
How about that move from Giovanni Bernard? A gain of 11. He just never stops moving. If he's not keeping his feet moving, he's spinning.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And he's just hard to bring down. When you got a low center of gravity as a running back and your wheels and your feet are moving all the time, you'll see him always fall forward. I haven't seen him in this game yet get hit and move backwards. And I think that's one of the things that probably the college recruiters look at on film is his ability to continue to finish a play.
He carries for 101 yards for Bernard. Beatty. Handoff, and this time no room to run as Brady Seidel shoots in and hits Bernard for a loss of 1. 10 of 11 starters for Upper Arlington defensively are seniors, so this is a senior-laden bunch. But they have really had a tough time with this offensive juggernaut, St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah, it's just when you're dealing with so much speed and so much athleticism, you've just got to get some sort of push up front. We talked about in the open, the only way you can neutralize speed and playmakers is to dominate at the line of scrimmage at the point of attack, and Upper Arlington just hasn't had success with that here in the first half.
Beatty to throw, has a man, and it is caught by James Dolan. He's got enough for a first down, but a penalty flag is in on that play. Dolan, the top returning wide receivers for St. Thomas Aquinas. And this is going to go against the Raiders. With Duron Carter and Dwayne Difton gone, not like Dolan's going to have to step up for the Raiders this year.
Ineligible man downfield on the pass. On the offense, 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Hey, Brett Favre is back, in case you haven't heard. And he leads the Minnesota Vikings against Andre Johnson and the Houston Texans on ESPN's Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football preseason game coming up on ESPN Monday night at 8 Eastern. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 7 o'clock Eastern. Second down and 16 now for the Raiders. Giovanni Bernard back on the field. Beatty wants to throw again, has a man wide open. It's Philip Dorsett, makes the catch at the 30, still on his feet, inside the 10, touchdown. Dorsett with a 56-yard touchdown reception. First touchdown pass in his new uniform for Beatty, but hold on, a penalty flag is down.
Illegal block in the back on the offense. 10-yard penalty. Play results in a first down.
Well, George Smith is known as a disciplinarian, and that's not going to make him happy.
Yeah, anytime you get a penalty on a touchdown play, that's not a conversation you want to go have with your coach, that's for sure, especially George Smith. But, you know, the Turner Brady you can see is where they're going to continue to attack. And right now they just got up into the seam of Upper Arlington, and we're going to continue to see more of that first down there here for Aquinas.
Here's Beatty. He'll pitch it off to Bernard. Bernard to the 21-yard line, close to another first down. Here's Dorsett. And just like so many of the Raiders on offense, just excellent speed and escapability. Very elusive.
Yeah, they got that block in the back. If you look at the replay, they didn't even need it. He was already past that defender. He showed excellent vision, and that's what, you know, college recruiters are looking for too. Not only a receiver who can catch the ball, but who can make a play once the ball is in his hand, and he showed excellent run after catch.
Here's Bernard. Gets to the outside, enough for the first down inside the 15 to the 11, but another marker is down as this drive has been littered with mistakes. For St. Thomas Aquinas, we'll see if this goes against the Raiders again. This time a hole. And you're going to see that early on in the season. This is the first game for both teams.
Holding on the offense, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat, second down. Inbound.
You know, early in the season, it's especially on the offensive side of the ball, it's not uncommon to be sloppy. It's a lot easier to be better early on defense than it is offense. We've seen a couple penalties on this drive, a couple penalties on the defensive side for late hit out of bounds, but that's normal things to be going on in your first game.
James White, a gaping hole on the right side. Down to the 8-yard line, a pickup of 11 and a first down. The weak side linebacker, Tim Uhas, prevented another Aquinas touchdown.
Yeah, we've talked about Bernard's vision, but you see here, White, watch some of the cuts he makes right here. He's coming outside, cuts back inside, makes another nice cut. He keeps his eyes downfield, sees where the defenders are coming, and is able to really make a nice run.
Jamal Wilson now back on the field as they give Giovanni Bernard a rest. Beatty hands off to Wilson. Tries to cut it up around left tackle. Gets to the 5-yard line. A pickup of 3. Guys, James White has been a little bit more under the radar than some of the other guys for St. Thomas Aquinas, and it's probably because he shares the backfield with Bernard.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big shout out to me. But you look at White last year, he rushed for almost 1,000 yards. And one thing that White does, he's maybe a little bit more of a complete back. He's a good receiver. Caught 17 passes last year.
And here's White inside the 5. And he'll muscle his way to the 2.
That's a challenge playing at a school like St. Thomas Aquinas, though, and that's what you deal with, and that's part of what makes you so great, right? I mean, there's kids on that sideline right now that you're going to see next year and the following year and the following year get into Division I, but I think competition at those positions, and that's what George Smith wants. He wants those athletic kids coming in there competing for those jobs.
George Smith traveling 105 players all the way from Fort Lauderdale up here to Columbus. When you travel that many, I mean, you're not going to travel them unless you expect them to get something out of this. And he knows that he's got a lot of talent in years to come. 3rd down and 2. Aquinas knocking on the door again. Nice fake in the backfield by Beatty on the pitch. White is snuffed out. There's going to be a loss of 3 on the play. A nice job by Beatty on the fake, but it just didn't materialize.
Yeah, it was a design play, and it was design play there off the option, and they pitched the ball, and he just lost his footing there for a second. But I want to go back to what you brought up, Clay. The competition at the high school level for starting positions at St. Thomas Aquinas is unbelievable. It's ridiculous. You look at a guy like Mike Clardy, who's already a Tennessee commit.
And he bangs home a 22-yard field goal. That makes it 31-0. St. Thomas Aquinas leading here at Ohio State over Upper Arlington. What are you looking for?
Linder came out.
Back here at Columbus, Ohio, 31-0 St. Thomas Aquinas. The consensus national champs from 2008. They won their 2nd straight Florida 5A title last year as well, beating rival Lakeland for the state championship. Final of that championship game, 56-7. It's how dominating they were in 08, and so far here in 09, just as dominating, guys.
Yeah, they've had a remarkable run, and they're going after their 3rd consecutive state championship. That would only be the 8th time in Florida history that that's been accomplished.
Upper Arlington's going to go back to work on offense. This is Mac Wilcox. And a lot of room to run. It's going to be a long field for the Golden Bears when we come back. 4:03 to go here in the second quarter. Alongside Craig Hobbert from ESPN Scouts Inc. and John Berger, former Ohio State Buckeye and Play Mappic. There are 8 teams that we're going to be seeing here this weekend at the Horseshoe, and 6 of the schools are from here in Central Ohio. 2 teams had come quite a ways. Orange Lutheran out of California had come 2,000 miles, and St. Thomas Aquinas had quite a trip with those 105 players.
I got to tell you a funny story that George, when I first found out that we were going to be part of this game, I called George Smith and I asked him about the travel plans of the kids, and this is where I knew that the level of detail for a high school coach, he has taken it to a new level. This is what he did. Knowing that he was coming to Columbus with 100 kids, he got on this is 2 weeks before the trip. He got on the exact same flight, had the bus pick him up. This is by himself, not with his team. He wanted to time it. He wanted to see what his kids were going to go through. He went to the hotel. He went to the places they were going to eat. He went to the practice field they were going to practice at, went to the stadium, faked the interviews, got on a plane, and came back home. And I said, Coach, why'd you do that? He said, I want to understand exactly what my kids are going to go through on this trip so that I can get out in front of any potential issues. That's a level of detail at a high school head coaching level you don't see anywhere in the country.
333 wins later, he's a legend in South Florida. 5 state titles among those victories. Upper Arlington having its hands full with George Smith's defense. They have had 4 drives prior to this one. And in those drives, an interception, 2 punts, and a fumble. They have been able to acquire just 35 yards of offense today.
And most on that one drive, which unfortunately ended it in a fumble for them. So now they need to kind of come back and try to pick up some more momentum again going into the half, and at least try to get some kind of points on the board so they could feel good going into halftime about maybe coming back out and trying to build a little something.
Kyle Cassidy, the grandson of Hopalong Cassidy, who was a big star here in the 50s at Ohio State, hands off to Drew Karam, and he busts loose for 12 yards. One of the better runs from one of the running backs today for Upper Arlington, Vincent Morrow. One of the star linebackers for Aquinas on the stop.
Yeah, Drew Karam got loose right there, but with 3:06 left and you're already down by 31 right now, Upper Arlington just needs to try to get something positive just so they can go in the locker room and regroup and try to put an offense in place in the second half to generate something positive, because they got to get some pressure off their defense.
2 receivers, 1 to either side, but they keep it on the ground. It's Karam again. And it's going to be a gain of 1. Let's take a look at today's LifeLock Identity of a Champion. Standout wide receiver at St. Thomas Aquinas High School and the University of Miami. Won 3 Super Bowl rings with the Dallas Cowboys. Will compete in season 9 of Dancing with the Stars. Who am I? Gonna have an answer coming up later for you. Let's think about that for a little bit. And we'll come back with an answer a little bit later.
Have to go through the roster and start crossing out all the guys who aren't good dancers.
This guy might not be either. We'll find out. You can cast your vote, I'm sure. Upper Arlington, 2nd down and 9. Cassidy wants to throw. He hasn't completed a pass yet today, but he has now. At the 49, it is caught. Will Jones with the reception. The tight end. And it's a gain of 37, the biggest offensive play for the Bears today.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Upper Arlington has to do, is get the football downfield to stretch that defense a little bit. And Kyle Cassidy just buys enough time and delivers an accurate ball down to his tight end, Will Jones, which is a big play downfield for the Golden Bears.
Yeah, you know, Cassidy was able to hang in there and make a throw, even though there was still some pressure on him, and the tight end was able to get behind the safety, Brian Robinson, and this is a big play for them.
1st down and 10 at the 42. Cassidy wants to throw again, another deep ball. Looking for Jones again, and intercepted. St. Thomas Aquinas has picked off Cassidy again. Keon Payne, the corner, comes up with the interception. So Upper Arlington, which had been marching the ball, has its drive snuffed out. 31-0 St. Thomas Aquinas as the Raiders have just forced up for Arlington into their third turnover, ending a 6-play, 50-yard drive. All right, here's the answer to the identity of a champion lifelong question. Standout wide receiver at St. Thomas Aquinas, 3 Super Bowl rings, and will compete in Season 9 of Dancing with the Stars. None other than Michael Irvin. We'll find out what kind of a dancer he is. But George Smith has had a lot of guys come through that program that have gone on to bigger and better things, Irvin among them. They're still hanging around the program. That's what is the great thing about it, especially if you're a young Raider coming up through the ranks. You got Hall of Fame type guys hanging around.
Yeah, and it creates such an advantage. And think about the culture. You know, he shared a good story with us yesterday when we met in the coaches meetings. And you know, the first time they went to the playoffs was in 1977, and he said, you know, we played the next day after Thanksgiving on a Friday, and I didn't really know how to set up the practice schedule, and I changed the practice schedule because that one time that we had that game, we ate ourselves out of the game. So he's changed things, and it's really created tradition the night before. Now when they play in the playoffs, all those alumni and those ex-players come back on Thanksgiving night to practice, and it's a big deal for the kids.
St. Thomas Aquinas calling a timeout. They're first. High school football action continues on ESPNU and ESPN today at 3:30 on the U. It's more from the Kirk Herbstreit Varsity Football Series presented by Burger King, as we'll get to see Westerville South take on Hilliard-Davidson. A couple of star programs here in Ohio. Then at 7 on ESPN, it's the Old Spice High School Showcase presented by Gatorade as the DeSoto Eagles take on Cedar Hill. 2 excellent teams from Texas. And Craig, some players that we should keep an eye on tonight.
You know, you'll see up there Evan Washington, a big defensive tackle. He's going to committed to LSU. Aaron Benson, linebacker from Cedar Hill, one of the top outside linebackers in the nation, number 5, plays sideline to sideline. Adam Sheed, one of those physical linemen. Cedar Hill's put out a lot of linemen over the years. This is a guy who's going to buckle up and knock you back. And then Adrian White, a corner. He's a very good player. He is Under Armour All-American, lockdown type guy. There's a lot of good players in that game. Some ESPN U150 talent.
And the reasons that Kirk Herbstreit got this thing going was to see who had the better high school football. Texas, Ohio, California, Florida. It's been interesting to see, and over the years, you know, it's been hard to tell at times who's got the better talent. We're seeing 6 Ohio teams in this part of the Herbstreit Classic this weekend, but certainly St. Thomas Aquinas is the best team here.
Well, if you usually look at the recruiting hotbeds, you'll see Florida, Texas, California. Those are usually the consensus top 3. Now, I'm sure people from Ohio, the tradition, they feel like they've got good talent, but Georgia, South Carolina, you combine that with the Carolinas, there's a lot of talent in the South. There's a lot of states with big populations. They turn out a lot of good players.
Danny Ayula is in the game now. Running back for St. Thomas Aquinas, number 23. He picks up 9 on that carry. Almost 200 yards rushing today for Aquinas.
Yeah, that talks about the physical nature of St. Thomas Aquinas, and we've seen it all day long out of the running backs, out of the linemen that were shot green blocking downfield. Not only are they a fast, very athletic team, but they're also very physical up front.
18 seconds to go here in the half. This will be the last play as Turner Beatty takes a knee. What impressed you the most, guys, about Aquinas in that first half?
I think the domination up front, because I really thought that Upper Arlington up front was going to have some success, at least early in the ball game. I thought it would take until later in the second half to start that domination up front, but I was just impressed by their strength and their overall speed and athleticism.
Yeah, the ability just to create plays. You know, they've got a great tradition, not taking anything for granted. Came in here and they're just picking up where they've left off.
31-0 St. Thomas Aquinas. Now let's join Ryan Burr for the halftime report. The 2008 national champion St. Thomas Aquinas taking on Upper Arlington in the Kirk Herbstreit Varsity Football Series presented by Burger King. And the national champs leading 31-0 after an impressive first half, alongside former Buckeye John Berger and Craig Hobbert from ESPN Scouts Inc. I'm Clay Matvick. And John, a team that loses 11 players that go on to play Division I, you'd think that they'd struggle in their first game of the next season, but 313 yards of total offense and the defense pitching a shutout.
Yeah, you would think they would struggle, but this is St. Thomas Aquinas. There's a reason they're back-to-back state champion. There's a reason they put 42 kids in the last 4 years in Division I. They're loaded across the board, and they have competition at positions every year, and you can see that competition come out right here. They're phenomenal across all 22 in terms of their starters.
4 touchdowns and a field goal offensively. Craig, the defense, a lot of guys standing out. But who was the most impressive in that first half for you?
For me, it was a running back number 26, Giovanni Bernard. He really put on a show, being able to take plays inside, have the vision to be able to bounce it. And once he got on the perimeter, he was almost unstoppable, showing a good combination of speed and a physical running style. We saw some stiff arms. We saw him lower his shoulder. And when he made contact, he made sure he got positive yards. So I was really impressed with his ability, once he got the ball in his hands, to see the field, create plays. And he's really been almost unstoppable in the first half for St. Thomas Aquinas.
All right, John, let's go through the highlights. And unfortunately for Upper Arlington, there weren't many for the Golden Bears. It was all Raiders.
Yeah, it really was. And I thought that Upper Arlington might have a little success early, but I think St. Thomas Aquinas just dominated physically up front at the point of attack, and they had a lot of success giving the football to Bernard, James White. They hit the big play downfield to Rashad Green. You can see their speed and their athleticism there. Phenomenal job by St. Thomas Aquinas in the first half.
There really hasn't been much for Upper Arlington. You see right there, Cassidy tried to make a play. They made actually a play through the air for a team that doesn't throw the ball much. The tight end was able to get behind the linebacker, but other than that, it really was a lot of runs into the line of scrimmage for no to little gain.
For the Golden Bears to have success today, they told us this week we can't turn the ball over. We have to sustain drives. You can see the numbers reflect neither of those things happened.
Yeah, you know, they were just hoping to get maybe 3.5 yards a carry, let those equal into a first down. It didn't happen.
St. Thomas Aquinas hasn't lost since October 12th of 2007. Deerfield Beach defeated him in that game. It's a 24-game winning streak since then. A couple of state titles in Florida in 5A and a national championship last year over that span. And so far, so good after one half. Second half ready to get underway. And Michael Pilardi approaches the ball and it rolls off the tee. So he'll come back. We talked about Pilardi a little bit in the first half, guys. We didn't talk too much about special teams, but here's another star guy already committed. In fact, committed last month to Tennessee.
Yeah, he has a commitment to Tennessee. He's going to go join Layton Kiffin's bunch. And I was watching him pregame, and he definitely has a pop in his leg. The ball comes off and explodes, and that's really how you can tell the difference between a kicker that's going to go to a Tennessee versus maybe a max school or Division I 2A is the pop and the ball coming off his foot.
There's Garrett Powers to bring it out. One of the few times today that St. Thomas Aquinas hasn't kicked it into the end zone. And the Golden Bears will come out on offense. 1st and 10 from their 19-yard line. And Kyle Cassidy had a tough first half. We saw that arm a couple of times. Once he connected for a long 34-yard pass play, but for the most part held in check. A couple of times pretty impressive with his feet, however.
Yeah, he has escapability. He's elusive, and I think that goes back to his ability. He plays lacrosse, so he's got loose hips. He can run a little bit. Look for them, get him on the edge today, and try to lighten up the load on that offense right now. Because right now, Clay, the St. Thomas Aquinas defense just has their ears pinned back, and they're blasting the offensive line for Upper Arlington every play.
Drew Karam with the carry there. He picks up one. Garth Jobe made the tackle. He's number 14 for St. Thomas Aquinas, a very talented linebacker who we didn't hear a lot about in our preparation for this game this week, guys, but we've talked a lot about him here today.
Yeah, he's been all over the football field. I'm very impressed with his ability to go sideline to sideline, but he's awfully aggressive. I mean, he got that one penalty, hitting the player out of bounds, 5 yards, a 15-yard penalty for hitting him out of bounds. But this kid is very active, very impressed with his ability to get sideline to sideline and bring down the ball carrier.
Yeah, one thing that's helping them out, too, is playing behind that defensive line. Like you've talked about, they've been very physical. And those offensive linemen haven't been able to get to second level. And those linebackers like Joe, they're able to scrape and make plays.
The other play that I've been impressed with is Morrow. I've seen him being very active. He hasn't made a lot of plays yet, but I think that's allowed. Morrow taking on the offensive line for Upper Arlington is freeing up Job to go sideline to sideline.
Cassidy, 3rd down and 4 as Upper Arlington is trying to get some traction offensively here today. There's a pass, and it's a little out of the reach of Drew Karam, who was trying to make that reception out of the backfield. Job was in on the coverage, and it's going to be a punting situation here for the Golden Bears.
Going back to Vincent Morrow, I had a chance to visit with Marcus Joyner, and I asked him what was one guy in this team, which is loaded with Division I prospects that maybe people don't know. People know about Cody Riggs. People know about Giovanni Bernard. He mentioned Vinny Morrow. He said, this guy is a leader for us. He said, he kind of reminds me a little bit of James Laurinaitis. He's physical. He gets done on the field. He's also helped leads in the locker room. So, his teammates are aware of his ability.
Philip Jascott with the punt for the Golden Bears. It is Rashad Green to return, and he is spun down after being caught from behind at the 44 by Andrew Badia. 31-yard punt, 2-yard return, and we'll see who the Raiders bring out to run the offense. It's going to be the starter Jacob Rudock, who began the game. We saw a lot of Turner Beatty in that first half, but Rudock comes out again.
They're going to probably get both these guys some work. This is the first game of the year. They've got a tough schedule ahead of them. Let both these guys get their feet underneath them.
1st down and 10 for St. Thomas Aquinas. And the handoff goes to Jamal Wilson, the backup to Giovanni Bernard. He picks up 4 on his first carry of the second half. And guys, we've been told that Bernard has gone to the locker room, potentially a hamstring injury there, and he certainly is a guy that the Raiders are going to need this season. He had 118 yards on 12 carries in that first half and a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, and with Bernard, that's one of those deals when you're up in a game at 31-0, you want to try to protect your star player. So don't be surprised if you see less of James White, more of number 21 Jamal Wilson.
Quick shot out to the right side. Philip Dorsett on the catch as Jacob Rudock with a quick hitter. It picks up 13 as the offense picking up right where it left off in the first half.
Going back to Bernard, too, he was actually banged up coming into this game. I'm actually surprised we saw him as much as we did because he didn't practice a lot in fall camp, but he actually looked good. But now they got to, make sure that they can maintain him for the season. And George Smith said coming into this game as a whole, they were pretty banged up.
9:23 to go here in the 3rd quarter. It's been all Raiders so far. Nicholas Arena getting a carry. His first run of the day. Andrew Badia, the quick backer for Upper Arlington, knocks him down, but not before an 8-yard pickup for the 3rd-string fullback. Again, St. Thomas Aquinas just comes at you in waves.
Yep, and you asked me that question about, are you surprised that they've had so much success? And I'll go back to what George Smith told us. Think about how a kid competing at the high school level, how good you have to be to go in and start at St. Thomas Aquinas. Because we spend so much time talking about the starters, but think how many kids are on that sideline that are future stars, not only at the high school level, but at the Division I level as well.
Rudock missed LaMarcus Joyner. That quick hitter to the near side. Joyner did catch one pass in the first half, but that one failed to click, so it'll bring up 3rd down and 2.
And we've talked about what Bernard has done and how they've really been successful running the ball, and that all comes to that offensive line. They've done a wonderful job up front. Brandon Linder, who's a number 2 rated center in the country, he's another guy who was banged up coming into this game. He played some of the first half. He is now out, but he's one of the premier offensive linemen in the country. When you've got players like that up front who are highly recruitable players, it's not shocking they're able to control the line of scrimmage.
Rudock to the end zone, touchdown, LaMarcus Joyner. He is known for his defensive prowess, but makes the catch, a 31-yard touchdown for St. Thomas Aquinas.
Excellent blocking up front. Plenty of time for Rudock. He is just back there No pressure at all. LaMarcus Joyner just finds a seam in the defense, and then you can see the accuracy of Rudock. This is one of the things that George Smith likes the most about his quarterback. He's smart, he's competitive, mobile, and he's accurate, and you saw it right there.
The backup kicker Ben Hotfinger comes in and knocks the point after touchdown through, and it's now 38-0 St. Thomas Aquinas. How about those guys, LaMarcus Joyner and Cody Riggs? They got some personality. We're going to see it when we come back. The national champs up big. The Kirk Herbstreit Varsity Football Series is presented by Burger King, who reminds you to have it your way. And in part by the United States Marine Corps, the few, the proud, the Marines.
LaMarcus Joyner, St. Thomas Aquinas, number 3, defensive back. Hobbies that I like doing when I'm not on the football field is working out, probably training my little brother. Everybody think I'm this mean guy with a mean, nice guy too, but when I'm around people that I feel comfortable around, I like to smile and joke.
Well, everybody on that St. Thomas Aquinas sideline has been smiling today. They lead it big 38-0. Joyner has a touchdown catch, just came on that last drive for the Raiders. And we're going to have another touchback. There is LaMarcus and what he has done offensively. A couple of carries, 35 yards, and a touchdown reception. And Craig, he's one of the guys in your ESPNU 150. And what put him there?
Well, first of all, you see his versatility. We've talked about him being the #1 ranked corner, but we see him make a play here on offense, catching a touchdown pass. So obviously that means he has good ball skills. Anytime you've got a player who you can put on offense as a wide receiver, give him the ball on a reverse, or have him be one of the top corner or safety prospects in the country, that versatility is really invaluable.
1st and 10 for the Golden Bears. Cassidy, the inside handoff to Karam. And he is going to be pushed back after a gain of about 3 yards. So 2nd down and 7 coming up. And ESPN Rise is something also that we'd like to tell people about. ESPN Rise speaks to the high school athlete through aspiration, improvement, and recognition. So log on to ESPNRise.com for more information. And that's where you're going to find more about the personality of these young men. And we certainly saw that from LaMarcus Joyner. He has that to go along with a lot of athleticism.
You know, he gets to come up here and play in this game, but this is also kind of a neat unofficial visit for him, because Ohio State is one of his top 5 schools, so he gets to come here and see what the locker rooms are like, play on the field, get a pretty neat experience.
Again, just no running room as the teeth of that St. Thomas Aquinas defense continues to chew up the Upper Arlington running backs.
The other thing about LaMarcus Joyner that we haven't really spent a lot of time talking about is the way that he can benefit a Division I team on special teams. He had 5 touchdown returns on kickoffs last year, so I think he's going to have a remarkable career as a defensive back, perhaps possibly even catching the football and on special teams.
You see the definition of an unofficial visit. And as long as you pay for them yourself, you can make a lot of them. But there are only 5 official visits that you can make.
Correct. You can take on officials all year long. It doesn't have to be your senior year, it could be your junior year.
There's Will Jones, a pickup of 7, and then it's an Upper Arlington 1st down. Now here's the definition of an official visit. A visit paid for by the college or university. You get 5 of those starting September 1st of your senior year.
Yeah, so that opportunity is now starting to come up. We'll see some of these guys have already set official visits up going ahead. Like, for example, LaMarcus Joyner is set to come back here to Columbus on September 12th as an official visit for Ohio State when they take on USC. So it's really about the school, you know, kind of taking care of you. But you only get 5 of those. And like I said, you could have to start those September 1st of your senior year. Unofficials you could take younger. You know, it doesn't matter. You get as many of those as you want.
Timeout called by Upper Arlington, their first of the half. They have 2 left. 38-0, 6:37 to go in the 3rd. All right, Ryan, thank you very much. Back here at the Horseshoe, 6:37 to go in the third quarter. It's all St. Thomas Aquinas, 38-0 over Upper Arlington of Ohio. Raiders, the defending national champs. And there is a bad handoff. Francis Wilimowski is able to recover. One of the backup running backs for the Golden Bears. And no, it is turned over as the Raiders do get it back. Another turnover for Upper Arlington. That's number 4 today.
Yeah, number 4. We talked about it. I mean, Upper Arlington to have any success at all, they were going to have to hold on to the football. They were going to have to mount some of those long sustained drives and put points on the board. And St. Thomas Aquinas is just such a talented team. They got started early, and you just can't turn the football over again to an offense which is powerful and is athletic as St. Thomas Aquinas.
The running back Wilimowski, he just never got it in the breadbasket. Never really had a chance on that. And like you said, just something at this point in the game, they can't afford those.
Garth Jobe, who we've talked about, has had an excellent day. He made the recovery. And there's a timeout called by St. Thomas Aquinas. High school football action continues on ESPNU and ESPN today at 3:30 on ESPNU. It's more from the Herb Street Varsity Football Series presented by Burger King as the Westerville South Wildcats take on the Hilliard-Davidson Wildcats. And at 7 on ESPN, see the Old Spice High School Showcase presented by Gatorade as the DeSoto Eagles face the Cedar Hill Longhorns. And Craig, some players to watch, especially in that game coming up tonight.
Yeah, you see one of the top corners in the country, Adrian White from DeSoto, linebacker Aaron Benson from Cedar Hill, also at ESPNU 150. So some good players tonight in that game. That's just really a sampling. It goes deeper than that.
The offensive guard there, Sheed, he's made a verbal commitment, and we should probably explain to people what that means, Craig, as that pass is incomplete from Rudock.
The verbal commitment is really basically just that, your word to that school that on National Signing Day you will sign a letter of intent with them, but it is not binding. At any point when you give a verbal commitment, you can decommit. So basically it's just a player kind of giving their word to a program saying, you've offered me a scholarship, I want to accept that scholarship, and when it comes time to sign my letter of intent, I will sign for your school, but there's nothing binding to it.
Nicholas Arena straight ahead for a couple. Now, we don't very often see a player decommit, though, after a verbal.
Oh, actually, it happens quite a bit.
Does it?
It happens quite a bit, and that's why there's some coaches out there calling for an early signing period, because they know that happens. Once a player commits, you've got to keep recruiting that guy. So decommitments happen quite a bit, and it's just part of the cycle.
Now, we've got 22 games this season on the ESPN family of networks, and we are proud to be bringing this window into the future of the stars for college and the NFL of tomorrow today.
Dead ball foul. False start. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
Of course, we have the recruiting insider on ESPNU Thursday nights at 5:30 Eastern time. Craig, you're a part of that, and that really is a good show to get people caught up on what's going on the recruiting trail for all these major programs.
Yeah, we take a look at the prospects. We show film. We also take a look at class rankings. So we really go through the whole gamut throughout the year, tell you about maybe some sleeper prospects you should know about out there.
Of course, all leading up to signing day. Rudock off his back foot, drops it on short. It's caught by Jamal Wilson. Out of the backfield, still on his feet, inside the 10. Touchdown! What a play by Jamal Wilson. Great job running after the catch. 32 yards to Pater.
On that play, really some poor tackling by Upper Arlington. They're going to really have to. They're in a tough situation here. They're clearly outmanned. They're going to have to do a bit of a gut check because there were a lot of on tackles, a lot of guys running by the ball carrier there.
Yeah, it was just a basic screenplay. And look at the big guys up front getting the helmet on the linebackers from Upper Arlington. Jamal Wilson does a nice job, very patient, sets up his running back, his blocks, and just sticks it in the end zone.
Pilardi, the extra point. And now it's 45-0 St. Thomas Aquinas. Jacob Rudock hooking up with Jamal Wilson out of the backfield. A 32-yard touchdown play. And the defending national champs showing no signs of off-season rust. Looking good here in Columbus today. Just a beautiful day to start the high school football season here in Columbus, Ohio. Part of the Kirk Street Varsity Football Series presented by Burger King. It's the #1 team in the country, St. Thomas Aquinas, leading big over Upper Arlington of Ohio, 45-0. Good kick. This one is returnable off the foot of Michael Pilardi. Nice return out to the 25 from Garrett Powers. Here's another look at that last touchdown. Rudock dumping it off for the touchdown pass, and then after that,
Jamal Wilson.
Yeah, he just, I was just going to say, watching him run the football as a junior, now he's going to be competing for that starting job next year. A lot of vision. He also sits low center of gravity. He's got a little wiggle to him, and I like the way he set up his offensive line and was patient enough to let them set up on the defense and give him some time to stick at the end zone.
1st and 10 from the 25. It's Karam, a 2-yard gain. This is the best starting field position of the day for the Golden Bears. It's been that kind of afternoon. They lost 3 1,000-yard rushers from last year, and even though Kyle Cassidy has great bloodlines, he had a lack of experience at quarterback. So Mike Golden told us this week that there were some issues with this group. I still believe that he was hoping for a better performance here today because they have had a lot of trouble moving the football. Cassidy being chased from behind, and he is going to be dropped. Down he goes at the 18. Michael Payne, number 41, coming in for the sack and a loss of 9.
They came up the backside. Cassidy really never had a chance. Never saw him coming. He came unabated and really shut that play down.
Yeah, it's just that right now, Upper Arlington, and we've talked about it throughout this game, they're just struggling up front because St. Thomas Aquinas is getting penetration on every play, and once St. Thomas Aquinas recognizes that Upper Arlington doesn't have a passing game, they just pin their ears back and they're just coming full tilt, which puts a lot of pressure on your offensive line. They just haven't had success in dealing with that, but they'll get that worked out as they get into division play.
Cassidy fields the low snap, in trouble again, and again sacked at the 14.
Yeah, I mean, just come with the pressure. You know, Cassidy, this is a team that probably wants to throw the ball maybe 10, 20 times max in a game, but they want to keep their passing when things are going well around 10 times a game. So now they're in a situation where they have to throw the ball a little bit more. It's out of their comfort zone. You can see a bad snap, so now Cassidy has to deal with that. Very little time to get himself set as the pressure is coming. So they're being forced to try to do something they don't do often under tough circumstances, and it's showing in their production.
It's another punting situation here for Upper Arlington. This is the 4th punt for the Golden Bears, and this one is blocked. Jascott is able to jump on the loose football at the 7. Cole Champion, number 42, coming in to get a paw on.
They're just clicking on all cylinders right now at this point, offensively, defensively, and special teams.
You know, we talked about it at halftime, John. Maybe the only blemish for St. Thomas Aquinas, the penalties that they sustained early on, but they've seemed to clean those up. Otherwise, everything has been going great for the Raiders.
It really has, and they played almost a perfect game because the penalties, and we talked about that happens at the high school level, college level, even to a certain extent the professional level. Early in the season, especially on offense, it's normal to see those kind of penalties, but since that second drive, they've played a phenomenal football game, error-free, with the exception of a couple personal foul penalties, and I think that was more about just being hyped up about the game occurring here in Ohio Stadium.
You know, the goal for this Raiders team is there's a player down on the field. Looks like Nicholas Arena is in some pain down there, the 3rd-string fullback. And he's going to be attended to as George Smith and the training staff comes out to check on Arena. Bill Connolly, Craig, is one of your partners at ESPN Scouts Inc. And Bill is down on the field, and he joins us now. He knows Ohio high school football maybe better than anybody here in the state. And Bill, your impressions of this team from outside of the state, St. Thomas Aquinas from Fort Lauderdale.
Well, first of all, they're a program that's been strong for a long time. You know, George Smith, one of the great high school coaches in the entire country. And every year they're going to put players in there. They're going to reload. And as you can see today, the speed is unmatchable.
And Arena is up, and that's good news. And George, you have known George for a long time, and how would you describe him as a head coach, Bill?
Well, I think, first of all, he's disciplinarian. If you were on the team of anybody that's ever played for George Smith, you know a couple things. Number one, you're going to go to class. You know, one thing, you're not going to make a lot of mistakes, and you're going to do things the right way. He also helps develop the character of the young men also. When they go on to college, that is so apparent when they are great representatives of the high school once they get to the collegiate level.
2nd down and 6 for the Raiders. And this is back to Ayula, and he's going to pick his way to the end zone, and it's another touchdown for St. Thomas Aquinas.
It's tough running right there. I mean, they're not only being physical up front, their running backs are being physical once they get the ball in their hands. They actually broke some tackles and scored a touchdown.
Yeah, and what you're seeing George Smith do is work in some of his younger guys, and that's going to be valuable experience as they get deeper into their schedule and guys start to get nicked up. And so Dami Ayula, he takes it in there. It may not seem like a big play or a big score in a game that's basically over, but for him as a sophomore, getting that valuable experience early in the season is a big deal for that team.
And now Hopfinger on for the extra point. And this will make it 52-0. Bill from ESPN Scouting, Bill Connolly, who knows Ohio high school football very well. And Bill, how would you rank this year's group of Ohio players, especially in that senior class?
But you know what? It's probably not as strong a year, Clay, as it normally is. I think the strongest areas of the state this year are the Cincinnati area, and then also looking to the Northeast, especially the Cleveland, Youngstown area. Those are where really the bulk of talent is this season. A little bit down for normal for Ohio. And you know what? The big thing is population. They're always usually in the top 6, but they don't have as many great running backs as maybe a Florida or California or Texas. There can be some awful great football players, however, but just this year is kind of an average year.
Bill, we've got LaMarcus Joyner ranked as the #1 corner, but we've seen him on offense. But what are your impressions of him? And having been a long-time college coach, what do you think his impact could be as a true freshman at the next level?
Well, you know, Craig, I think you mentioned it very well. He's so versatile. He can do so many different things. And a guy like that is going to immediately step on the field, at least on special teams. Maybe as a returner, maybe even on a coverage unit because he's so fast. There's no doubt about it. He's got the athleticism, the quickness, that he's going to hit the field very quickly wherever he goes to school.
Wilcox back in the end zone, and another touchback as Hopfinger puts him into the end zone. So 1st down and 10 from the 20 for the Golden Bears.
So, Coach Conley, have you recruited, now at Ohio State you were the recruiting coordinator, were you able to successfully recruit any kids to Ohio State from that area?
Oh, exactly right. We had, of course, Nate Sally from St. Thomas, who had a great career for us, still playing in the NFL. Also, right down the road at Dillard High School is Chris Gamble, who was a two-way player for us at Ohio State when we won the national championship. And we go back, there was the Belisari brothers from Boca Raton, Cortland Bullard from Miami, also Michael Jenkins, of course, from the other coast, from the west coast of Florida, Ryan Pickett from Zephyr Hills. So really it became really a strong out-of-state area for Ohio State.
Coach, is it difficult to get a player from Florida to come up to the state of Ohio?
You know, that's a great question because you think of weather and all those different things. I always used to tell the kid who was always concerned about weather. So you tell me if you get drafted by the Green Bay Packers, you're not going to go to Green Bay. So, you know, really, you try to find out who the decision maker is in that young man's life. Might be mom, might be dad, might be the high school coach, and you recruit them too. The key is those kids come and they have success on the field and in the classroom, then they become your best recruiters when they go back to their hometown on vacation and Christmas break.
New quarterback in for Upper Arlington. It's Jake Johns, number 17, and we'll see what this 6'1", 201-pound junior can do. He's out of the gun. He'll hand off to Karam, and he goes straight ahead onto the 25-yard line. We're talking with Bill Connolly down on the sideline. He is Craig Hobbart's partner, one of 4 guys who puts together that ESPN U150. And Bill, I know that's a daunting job. Not working with Craig, but looking at all that tape and putting together that ESPN U150. You know, from your perspective, how hard of a job is that?
Well, you know, it's a hard job. It's the same thing that all of us did that were coaches now doing the analyst type of work. You spend a lot of hours anyway evaluating tape and film and those things. But I think the key thing, and Craig also mentioned, is that when you go to combines and camps and things like that, you get a real true test of a young man, not just what you see on the high school tape.
And that's going to do it pretty much here for the third quarter.
Coach Conley, when you look at the strategy of a recruiting coordinator in today's game, how much thought do you put into when a recruit comes to campus early in the process versus late in the process?
That's a great question. You know, the key you have to remember is that sometimes the newness of a visit, an official visit, wears off. So timing is really important. If you know a young man is not going to commit till late in the recruiting process toward the end of January, you want to bring him in later and get that last shot, the best shot you can. Sometimes momentarily it doesn't work. But if the young man is going to commit early, the sooner you get him to your campus and you make a good impression, you never know. He might make the verbal right there.
Rashad Green on the return. He gets out to the 44-yard line. We might have time for one play here for the Raiders for the end of the third quarter. Bill, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate your insights, and we'll be talking to you later throughout the weekend here at the Herb Street Varsity Showcase.
All right, thanks a lot.
Bill Connolly from ESPN Scouts, Inc. One of the Fab Four, I would say, the 4 guys that put together the ESPN U150.
Along with our national recruiting director, Tom Luganville, and Billy Tucker. You know, it's great to work with those guys. And, it's a lot of high school players out there to evaluate.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I don't know how you guys do it, but you've narrowed it down to 150 overall greats, and we've seen quite a few here today, including LaMarcus Joyner, Cody Riggs, and it's all Aquinas. They lead it 52-0. It's a good day so far for the defending national champs. For the second year in a row, St. Thomas Aquinas is starting the season in the state of Ohio. They beat Cincinnati Elder last year here in the Herb Street Varsity Showcase. And so far, so good. 52-0 over Upper Arlington as we head to the fourth. Let's take a look at today's impact players, brought to you by the United States Marine Corps.
Starting out with St. Thomas Aquinas, LaMarcus Joyner, we saw him catch a touchdown pass. He's done most of his damage on offense. Cody Riggs with a pick in the first quarter. You know, and his ability to break on the ball has made it. He's one of the guys who's made it very tough for Upper Arlington to be able to pass the ball. Kyle Cassidy, there hasn't been very many highlights for Upper Arlington, but you have to give the kid credit for the better part of 3 quarters. He hung in there, and any production Upper Arlington got on offense, it was because of Kyle Cassidy, whether he was scrambling or he sat in the pocket under duress and threw the ball up. Now, he made some mistakes, but I think Upper Arlington's got to at least feel good that this guy could be our signal caller for the 2009 season.
I think the other thing is for Upper Arlington is dealing with this speed as a team, just even seeing it. That's going to benefit you as a football team. And yes, you know you're going to lose this game and you're going to lose it big, but just having access and just seeing that speed early in the season is going to help you get better as a football team.
You know, I think, you know, if you're Upper Arlington, you can go 1 or 2 ways from this game. You can kind of put it in a tank and almost throw your season away feeling bad for yourself, or you can take this as a learning experience. You're playing against arguably the best high school football team in America. And sure, you took your lumps, but you can learn a lot about yourself. You can go back to the drawing board and say, hey, you know what? We went out there, we lost this game, but we're going to get better. And they need to use this last quarter to do that, to work on technique, to work on coming together as a team, to still try to get something from this game so when they move forward, get into their conference schedule, they can still really learn a lot. Not just get a loss from this game, but get a learning experience.
4th down and 2. Joseph McClary is in the backfield. Ball comes loose. It's scooped up by Upper Arlington. Tim Uhas, the weak side linebacker, takes it deep into Aquinas territory out at the 25. McClary with the fumble, a 32-yard return for Uhas.
Yeah, I mean, you see, he gets the ball, runs up. The defender put his hand on the ball. A nice job of bending at the knees by Uhas and scooping it and running down and making a play. This is, you say it's 52-0. What's the big deal? To be able to put some points in a game would be really a big mental boost for Upper Arlington.
Brady Seidel forced the fumble. Uhas on the recovery. And this is the deepest into Aquinas territory the Golden Bears have been all day. Kira bouncing off tacklers to the 10 and inside the 10, down at the 9, a gain of 17.
And just like that, how many times have we seen at the high school level momentum change like that? Yes, you're down big, but defense comes up, they get a turnover, gives your offense a little bit of spark. Now your offensive line's got a little bit of swagger on this play, blows them back off the ball, and then number 34, Karam, sticks it up into the heart of the Aquinas defense. Just like that, now they're challenging inside the red zone with an opportunity to put some points on the board.
Karam, 18 carries, 65 yards. Johns hands off. And full champion quickly in the backfield to wrap up the running back, Owen DeVersey. And we talked about the Raiders and their rich traditions and all the pride that they have. Well, Upper Arlington has a proud tradition too. They've got some great alumni, and you know that they weren't going to go quietly here today.
No, they've got a lot of pride. This is a program that won a state championship not too long ago. So obviously, they want to, not really go out in a bad way. They want to hang in there and fight, and it'd be great for them to put some points on the board. A little something that they could at least hang their hat on.
Johns, the backup quarterback, handing off again. Willamoski, room to run on the right side. Look at some of the alumni that have come out of Upper Arlington, including the Golden Bear himself, Jack Nicklaus, Beverly D'Angelo from Hollywood, and Melinda Lou Thomas. Yes, she inspired Dave Thomas to create Wendy's, the restaurant chain. Jack Nicklaus got his nickname because he was a Golden Bear from Upper Arlington, and the local papers, when they were writing about this young guy coming up here in Central Ohio, kept referring to him as the young Golden Bear, and that's how he got his nickname.
But actually, he's obviously known for his great golf play. He wanted to play football here. Bill Conley, who was here at Ohio State for a long time, told me a story that.
Now here's a touchdown for Upper Arlington. Owen DeVersey, the TD catch from Johns, and the Golden Bears are on the board.
Yes, but he wanted to play football here. His dad was owned a local convenience store that Woody Hayes would go into often and knew him. And Nicholas's dad approached Woody Hayes about him possibly playing for the team, and Woody Hayes went over to him, and Jack Nicklaus was also a very good basketball player as well as football player. And he sat down, he said, listen, you're a very good basketball player. You're a very good football player. Golf is your calling. You need to go play golf. So obviously Woody Hayes, not only a great football coach, would have made a great guidance counselor.
Yes, he would have. And the extra point is good for Alex Whitcomb. And good to see the Golden Bears get on the board. 4 plays, 26 yards on the touchdown as they capitalize on the turnover. Upper Arlington scoring its first touchdown.
I don't think he is anymore. No. I don't think he has been.
The Kirk Herbstreit Varsity Football Series is presented by Burger King, who reminds you to have it your way. And in part by the United States Marine Corps, the few, the proud, the Marines. And LifeLock, #1 in identity theft protection. 52-7, but Upper Arlington has scored for the first time today. Good to see as we have 8:34 to go here in the fourth quarter. A short kick taken by one of the upmen, James White, for Aquinas. He dives across the 35 to the 36-yard line. We're talking about Jack Nicklaus. Now, he is a graduate of Upper Arlington High School. Well, he won the 18 majors, but probably one of the thrills of his life was dotting the I on Script, Ohio, here at a Buckeyes game.
Have you ever seen this live?
Oh, yeah.
Have you really?
Yeah, back in 2006. I didn't see Jack do it, but I've seen it, and it is amazing how good that band is.
It's pretty neat, isn't it? Great experience.
Now, you played here at Ohio State, so you got to see it up close and personal quite a bit.
Yep. Every home game, it's a neat deal. It's obviously so much tradition and so much passion here in the state of Ohio for high school football. And I thought it was interesting that when we start talking about Florida, all the high school recruiting for Texas and Florida, it's interesting to see all the other states and how many kids are getting put out of Texas and Florida, because it used to just be Ohio and Pennsylvania were so strong. Now you're seeing, the Floridas and the Texas, and it's interesting to me to see the kids now willing to come north and the kids that live up north now willing to come south. It's truly become a much bigger opportunity for kids to get look at or exposure nationally.
Yeah, most of your top programs now are going to recruit nationally anyway. They need to find the best players. The competition is tough. There's a lot of parity among the top teams in college football, so they need to, not just go in their own backyard, but go nationally to find talent.
And what a thrill for these young men today, especially from Upper Arlington. Those kids who grow up in the shadows of this stadium and always wanting to play here, now finally getting the chance. And St. Thomas Aquinas, you know that it's a thrill for them as well to make a airplane ride up to Columbus and get to play in the famous Horseshoe. The quarterback in for the Raiders, it's Max Lescano, a 5'8" sophomore. He wants to throw, chased out of the pocket, rolling to his right, decides to run, and steps out at the 45. Some of the Upper Arlington kids talking about what it's like to play here at Ohio Stadium. We got a chance to ask them this week.
Playing at the Horseshoe is going to be a great experience. Growing up in Columbus, going to the games as a little kid, it's been a dream for pretty much everyone on our team.
I mean, only a small percentage of not only high school students but college athletes get to play at a stadium this big.
Well, for anybody in Ohio, in a football crazy state, Ohio Stadium's the center of gravity. So it's an honor, it's a privilege, it's a responsibility, it's an opportunity, and so we take it very seriously. And, obviously, it's very exciting.
Now, John, you were in college when you first got an opportunity to play here at Ohio Stadium. What was that like?
Well, I mean, you got to understand, when you come running out of that tunnel, it's hard to even put it in words, but coming and running out of the tunnel when there's 100,000 people in the stands, and especially if you have an opportunity to actually step on the field and contribute, it's hard. I tell people I couldn't even feel my legs. I couldn't feel my feet the first time, and I wasn't a superstar guy, so the people, it was a big deal to me to get that first opportunity to run out there, and it's just hard to even put it in words.
If you can't feel your legs, that's not a good sign for a kicker, and I'm sure John Cooper would have wanted to know that beforehand.
He figured that out.
Probably wouldn't have signed you.
Yeah, right.
Lescano under center, turns hands off to Joseph McClary. We're seeing a lot of their third-string guys now for Aquinas, obviously, as we're ticking under 6 minutes now. 52-7. It's been an impressive showing for the Raiders of St. Thomas Aquinas. And we showed Beverly D'Angelo earlier as an alum of Upper Arlington High School. Her grandfather was the architect of Ohio Stadium.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Come on.
I am not making that up. You can Google that if you want.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Does it make me old that I remember her from Vacation and not Entourage?
I can one-up you. I remember her from Every Which Way But Loose with Clint Eastwood. Lescano hands off. And again, it's McClary. And it's another first down. Let's go to the studio and Ryan Berg.
All right, thanks, guys. Just a reminder over on ABC now, Little League World Series International Final, Chinese Taipei taking on Mexico. It's now a 4-2 game. Mexico still up with a runner on. That over on ABC. It will be followed by Texas versus California. The winner of that game meets the winner of this game tomorrow in the Little League World Series Championship game on ABC. Guys?
Three-time NFL MVP. Won a Super.
First down and 10 at the 44 for St. Thomas Aquinas as they keep it on the ground. And it's pitched back to Frank Barreto. Gets his first carry today. Brett Favre is back. And he leads the Minnesota Vikings against Andre Johnson and the Houston Texans on ESPN's Monday Night Football. It starts at 8 Eastern on Monday night. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 7 o'clock Eastern. That's going to be interesting to see how Brett Favre and the Vikings do this year after that signing. Got a man down for Upper Arlington. And it's Matt Cohen, second string Wheat side linebacker. And we'll check on him in a moment. Let's take a break. Here's George Smith's family, the St. Thomas Aquinas head coach. As the Raiders have traveled very well. They're almost like a small college program, the way their fans travel.
It's a unique situation when you're the #1 high school team in the country with this many recruits. It attracts a lot of interest, and let's not forget, where they're located, sitting down there in Florida between Broward, Dayton, Palm Beach County. And, there's a lot more there than the whole hanging Chad story. You think it's the recruiting down there is ridiculous, and you think how many schools hit that area. I mean, Ohio State, and then obviously all the Florida schools, Big Ten schools, SEC. It's remarkable how many Division I athletes they produce on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I mean, St. Thomas, they really have almost like a perfect storm there for their program. They have the tradition that makes kids want to play there. Plus, they're located in South Florida, which is a recruiting hotbed. There's so much talent there, so they have great players in their area who also want to come be a part of that tradition.
3rd down and a yard to go for a first down for the Raiders. As their winning streak is going to go to 25 straight. Not going to pick up the first down here at Upper Arlington. Is going to force the Raiders into a punt. 3:37 to go alongside John Berger, former Ohio State Buckeye, back here at Ohio Stadium. And Craig Hobbard from ESPN Scouts Inc. I'm Clay Matvick. We're enjoying this Kirk Herbstreit varsity football series. And Kirk was here to throw up the coin for the opening coin toss, and I know that he is very proud with what he and his father have started and kept going and made bigger and better every year. This showcase for some of the best high school talent across the nation.
Yep, they put a lot of time and a lot of effort into that, into developing that, and it's not easy. You got, when you're trying to fly 100 kids across country, multiplied by 4 or 5, sometimes even 6 teams. They've done a terrific job of putting this thing together and continue to grow it.
Well, Aquinas decided to go for it to test the young quarterback. They come up incomplete, and Upper Arlington will take over on downs when we come back with 2:50 to go here in Columbus. Top-ranked Aquinas in its season opener, looking good. Came 1,000 miles to play here in Columbus, and 250 away from a win. There is Giovanni Bernard. He is our player of the game, brought to you by Burger King. 12 carries, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns. And gentlemen, it all came in the first half.
Yeah, they got it started early with that domination up front at the point of attack, and they were running that option play. But the thing that I really liked about Bernard, and the thing that jumped out at me besides his speed and athleticism, was the way that he sent blockers up and the patience that he displayed there. He's going to be a complete back at the next level.
Yeah, his vision was very impressive, and also his physicality with the ball in his hand. Once he broke the line of scrimmage, he wasn't just trying to outrun people. He wasn't afraid to throw a stiff arm or to lower his shoulder.
One area of concern, he hasn't played since the second half, and he's in essentially street clothes now. We don't know how he may have aggravated or re-aggravated an injury at halftime.
Yeah, it's one of those things, he came into the game, we said a little bit earlier, banged up, performed very well. I never saw him at any point when he was running the ball pull up like maybe his hamstring was bothering him or something. So maybe this is really more of a precautionary measure and, get a chance to rest, and he should be all right. He doesn't seem to be limping around or anything. So it's probably just, hey, let's big picture. Let's get him out of the game. Let's make sure he remains healthy.
St. Thomas Aquinas came to Ohio last year for the season opener. Took part in the Herbstreit varsity football series. Beat Cincinnati Elder and George Smith said it really set the tone for the year. Of course, go 15-0 after that win and win a national championship. Well, high school football continues on ESPNU and ESPN later today. At 3:30 coming up on the U from right here in Columbus, it's Westerville South taking on Hilliard-Davidson. And it's a couple of rivals from right here in Ohio. Then it's 7 on ESPN. It's the Old Spice High School Showcase presented by Gatorade. It's the DeSoto Eagles and Cedar Hill Longhorns from Texas. Cedar Hill, number 12 in the nation. First and 10 for Upper Arlington as they have been able to tack on some points here in the fourth quarter. But offensively, it's been a tough day for the Golden Bears. You do get a handful of yards here, get down to the 45-yard line as Ryan McSheffrey on the carry. And you gotta think that if George Smith has had this kind of success in the Kirk Herbstreit Varsity Football Series the last 2 years, then it's something he may entertain in the future.
You think he might be coming back then? Is that what you're saying?
I think so.
Okay. I'm with you there.
He posed that question yesterday to him, and he really left it open to see how today went. Well, I think it was a roaring success.
Yeah, I think if that invitation is extended, he will be back for sure.
I think that it's a great chance. You know, you talked about last year with the Elder win, how it was able to kind of set the table for the year. This is a great thing for a program from out of state to come in and do, because you get to get these kids in a hotel. You get to keep them together. As a high school program, it's not like colleges. These kids, they go home, they sleep with their in their own bed, have dinner with mom and dad. This way you get to get all these guys together. You get in a room together. You get them to really kind of build some team chemistry. So it's a great way to see, you know, what kind of team you have and let them gel right off the bat.
49 seconds to go. Johns hands off. And Williamowski again. As it's under 40 seconds to go. You know, George Smith, with all the success that he has had in South Florida, you'd think that there have been several opportunities to leave. Colleges would have come knocking. And indeed, he told us that has been the case, but just loves South Florida too much, loves that program, and of course, he's built it from the ground up. Didn't want to leave.
He's built it from the ground up, so he's got, you know, he's invested. He's got sweat equity in that program, and, you know, when you spend that much time building something like that, you know, going to college, you know, a lot of people don't understand that the lifestyle of a college coach a lot of times is so much significant traveling away from your family, so, you know, it's just a different deal from where he's at.
25 wins in a row for St. Thomas Aquinas, the defending national champs, and already they're texting their buddies saying, hey, we got one again in the Buckeye State.
I mean, any question about whether they're the #1 team in the country after an impressive showing like that? I mean, the ball is continuing to roll for them.
52-7 the final score. Up next, the 2009 Heisman Trophy preseason preview show presented by Nissan. And for more from the Kirk Herbstreit Varsity Classic, tune over to ESPNU. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. So long for Columbus.